Righty then. Let me move my Windex. I was cleaning lenses and all sorts of things. So, if you're catching the replay, welcome. I'm Steve. Mark's around. Say hi, Mark. And this is Smokey Steve and Mark. Welcome or welcome back and happy Sunday. Is it snowing where you are? Because, yeah, daylight savings. It's brighter outside, but we just had like half an inch of snow in a squall. I was taking video. I'm thinking like last snow of the year, probably for us. We've had March snow, we've had April snow, but generally it should all be on its way out by now. So, Miss McPhoebe, hello. Olga, hello. Jay, what's up? Beth, Andy, Yeti ate my sandwich. Des, Brianna. I hope everyone's doing well as you're coming in. Daylight savings, I'm not a big fan of. Fall, of course, because we get an extra hour's sleep. I get all thrown off and potentially moody during this time of year, so we're doing exceptional amounts of self-care, clean eating, good sleep hygiene, all that stuff, because daylight savings can take me like really off my square sometimes. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you everyone for being here. Today we're going to catch up with our fair lady, Chantal, Everyday Miriam, Foodie Beauty, you know, you know. So we did a coffee break in the middle of the week, and there was a decent amount of views on it. So thank you guys if you were watching for that. Last visit when we sat down, we were talking about no Canada. We're just gonna stay in Kuwait. Grocery hauls and sneak eating. Chantal would do well to be a chef at an eating disorders clinic because she hides calories in food very easily with cream, butter. She'd be a great refeeding cookbook. Maybe that could be a goal. So this week, staying in Kuwait with a few more details. She is still everyday Miriam. She hasn't changed too much yet. So, Chantal has decided you can't judge me. People don't know how hard her life is, and until you've been in her shoes, you can't judge. No, but I can observe. I've seen fatter people take the stairs. So thank God you're here. We got 60 centimeters of snow this weekend, and an elderly pet in the family is getting ready to cross the Rainbow Bridge. I'm so sorry, Annie. Thank you for the super chat. I hope all's good. Well, I hope we can distract you for a little bit in a funny way. I hope. Let's see. Also going forward, where's Sala? So Sala was out doing shopping at like 2 a.m., 1 a.m., something like that. And of course, she's up and excited and alive because he's going to be bringing food in the middle of the night. So, grocery shopping. Chantal wants to get back into the idea of volunteer work. So she did do a little bit of eating. She had a couple subs. She told some more stories. She can't make us, no one else can judge her. Well, high school was about over 20 years ago for Chantal, just over 20 years. And yet when we get these story times or she reminisces, she skips 20 years of her life and doesn't have much to say during it. So I don't know. I don't know. Ramadan, which officially starts March 11th, from what I've looked at. She has an exemption if she needs it. She got her 100,000 subs, and she got her little check mark. She got verified also. Conveniently, the sub count slowed down to a crawl just after crossing 100,000, but I'm sure that's a coincidence, right? Views and subs are kind of stagnant. Irish soda bread. Oh, Gigi, hello. Hellfire, Brianna, what's what? So, there was also suggested that during the last the last haul that she had done, she left some stuff on the table, left the room and came back, and it was suspected that there might be some of the ganja. Actually, it would be a quite large amount of ganja sitting on her table in a bag. So, people have had suspicions. I have thoughts about that as well, but we'll just start from the beginning. So, staying in Kuwait, no surprise. Going to Canada, it was not a change of her mind, like we said, middle of this week. It was her plan to deceive people and pretend to be going back to Canada to get views and that, and then knowing she was going to stay in Kuwait. That's why it's not changing my mind. It's deliberately deceiving people of your true intentions, which is a little more manipulative and takes more to think. So it's a bit of evilness with a bit of thought to it. I don't know. So, change of mind, plan to deceive. She tries to be shocked when people suggest she has anything but the purest of intentions. She has one of the biggest hearts on YouTube, of course. Well, maybe one of the most enlarged, but biggest heart on YouTube. But when you first think of, selflessness, don't you think Foodie Beauty? Don't you think Chantal? Don't you think Everyday Miriam? When you think of someone who lives so selflessly for others and asks for nothing in return and never complains a bit. So, I don't know. Now, we still are Everyday Miriam. Steffo. Um, that's the name we've been sticking with. So, and it was using this name that she got her little check mark. Well, that and the sub she bought. But that put her over the spot. So, she was mostly Foodie Beauty the whole time of her channel and then switched names a lot. I don't know, and if somebody does, please put in the chat. Is she going to be able to is it going to be under Everyday Miriam? Because that was the most recent name she had on the channel, or is it going to be Foodie Beauty because it's the one she had the longest? That I don't know. Yes, Margarita. First rule of Girl World. Chantal lies. First. So being Everyday Miriam is kind of a cool thing. That would kind of she would be going in the direction of not being full of shit, that she would actually go do the activities that a new revert, and she hasn't started really too much. Like, she's talking now about how she's going to be refreshed, how she's going to take Arabic lessons. How long has she lived there? Her French is ass, and she grew up in Canada. So I don't know. She wants to maybe get a little bit more into the culture as much as you can without leaving the house. So she just tries to take it all in through that ocean view, I suppose. She also was talking in the live about the volunteering. Now, as we said, heart, all heart. So I can't believe that you think Foodie Booty would never, Christine, never. She goes through talking about wanting to volunteer again. Now, this is all very touching. The last time Chantal volunteered was with Katimovic, or that's the last one that she had brought up was Katimovic, which would have been in her late teens, from what I understand. We don't have too many other Chantal stories until 32. The most recent bit of history that I seem to get, I know there was a call center job within there, and there was Pete's dating in the meantime. So that whole relationship almost never comes up. And then there was BB for a bit of it. But what she was doing, aside from getting a settlement from a job, the hospital secretarial job that she got like a year's salary and a settlement. So she took some time off, and then boom, we were doing YouTube. But there's a lot of time in there that's, I don't know. Well, I mean, I'm trying to be nice. Volunteer, unpaid work. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Unpaid work. Volunteer. I know a lot of people who were voluntold to do things, which is a little bit different, especially in the line of work I do. People are meant to be doing it selflessly. So, I don't know. She also, going through that particular video, talked about how she's not lazy, but exhausted. People don't know what she's going through at all. She's so tired. She's so overworked. She was cleaning the house all day. If she's not trolling, she's deliriously out of it. If she really has been in such a small think tank with just Beezers and her husband, that she really thinks that not only are her lies believable, but no one would. No one believe them. No one knows what any of us are going through in detail. You want to make a sweeping statement like that to try to dispense with criticism, go ahead. Depression and tired? Could be, but she sulks. Depression being a bit more of a condition that, I don't know. She could be really sick. There's all sorts of things. Did her toes fall off yet? Can she walk? That walk she went on 4.5 weeks ago that left her with sciatica to the point where she contemplated taking a 15-hour flight home because her health was in such poor condition and she needed to get back to the Western world and her family. And then she didn't need that anymore. She didn't have to do it anymore. So she didn't, and she changed her mind. She's got energy when the takeout comes is absolutely right, Andy. She definitely does. Cooking, she acts like is a chore. but she's only cooking for herself. It's not like she cooks much for him. She picks through everything and touches it all. Like, that's not it. And to piggyback that with the volunteering, Chantal was talking about volunteering to cook for people. I'm always a little sketched out about potlucks because you never know what someone else's home kitchen hygiene looks like. You can't be sure. I'm not neurotic, so I will still eat the Swedish meatballs and the other stuff. But I wonder, you don't know what's going on in people's kitchens. What if we invite Chantal over and she brings rice with butter and cream, calls it an original recipe? I don't know. Just saying. She also, when she's talking about volunteering, segues into hating the wealthy because the wealthy, if they give away some money, could help so many people. That's not incorrect. But Chantal thinks you have to have 7 figures to be charitable. When she was making $20K a month, she wasn't thinking about the March of Dimes. She wasn't thinking about any other place she could give her money. $20,000 is plenty for a woman in her situation to live for a month. And she spent the rest of it on herself after bills were paid. She didn't donate anything. Now, here's what she'll say. I just said she didn't donate. You don't know that I didn't. Dearest Chantal, you don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore. In a court setting, you're innocent until proven guilty, but in your social life, you've ruined it for yourself. It's not the lies that you've told, it's the truth that you've revealed. So, I don't know what to tell you about that. Steph she eats like a person who expects someone to take it away any moment. She does. It reminds me, my grandfather, my dad's dad, grew up in an orphanage. He was an orphan, then he went to the military. We don't have a long family tree on that side. But one of the things that he used to do, he'd have his hand, okay, so this is my plate, hand in front of it, and kind of eat like this, because he was in a situation where it is being competitive to get food. You might have to fight for other people with it. And so that was a thing that he had always picked up from the time he grew up. He didn't really have parents to speak of. It was the nuns, and then they would try to dress him up to get him adopted, but he was like too rough around the edges. So that kind of thing happened. But I don't think, looking at Chantal, she's been in any situation ever where she's been deprived food when she wanted it. Someone who's 250 pounds overweight is not dealing with deprivation. Does Julia order her own cat food since none of them do that? I'm wondering, because certain things that she doesn't get, like I saw her once get paper towels, but I've never seen her buy toilet paper. Unless they have like a nice bidet or something. But even with a bidet, that's pretty hard to hit a bullseye, I think, if you're going at her backside. So Julia mostly eats table scraps, which is probably right. But Julia was more likely a stray than anything else. And the most responsible thing to do would have been to have her spayed. House cat, not house cat, whatever. She's not going to have that cat forever. She doesn't keep cats till death. She showed us. So she's not so attached to her animals that she has to be there till the end. As long as she's satisfied that she gave it to somebody she sort of trusts, usually, except for BBJ, she'd be fine. So she doesn't use the TP. They have a bidet. That's the thing. The bidets are fine. They're good, and they save on toilet paper. But every action she has to make, from navigating the toilet to the other areas, and I imagine she takes a while. It probably is like wearing a wedding dress. Get all dressed, and it's like, I have to pee, and there's parts and layers, and to take everything off. And I could feel like that's probably a little bit of a hassle. That is no excuse for not regularly bathing or washing clothes, though. I don't suspect you see all these other people out with fur all over them, in wrinkled clothes that it looks like they've slept in. I don't know. Isn't their idea of a bidet a hose on the wall? Let's not split hairs, Miss McPhoebe. We'll go with what it's called. So, I don't know. I never see buy her a lot of that stuff. Cat food, no. Litter, no. She only made $20,000 for 6 months or so. She had a nice little bit coming in. She was doing well, tons of super chats, and it was all the high drama of the Natter arc, which, hey, she made her money. She blew her money. She spent it on shit you can't keep, like food. If you got 10 grand, put it somewhere. Because you never know in a situation where your income is tied like this, your income is to some degree tied to your effort, and she's kind of lazy. Just think, if she put serious effort into her channel, she wouldn't have had to buy the 100K. She might have actually had it. Spent it on coke, spent it on weed, spent it on food. It just goes. Now, I don't mean to jump ahead about weed, but fabric softener, no detergent. At least better than just Febreze. So in her recent video, somebody said that they had spotted possibly some ganja on her table with the other stuff that came with the haul. I don't have a picture, we're in the live, but it was a package that I would guess was about yay big, green, like certain things are, lumpy and zip packed. So that was there. And some people had made guesses, is that weed? Is that marijuana? Is that her getting something to keep herself busy during Ramadan? I don't know. Her financial, she doesn't care, Jamie. It's probably somebody else's fault for her. You know, if this didn't happen, if French Fried Girl didn't steal my views and all my viewers, the 5,000 people in her chat are not stolen fans. They're not. So, but her finding some ganja or weed around the house. Now, this is the kind of thing usually she would deal with through a community post. I don't know, Steph. I mean, she likes, she just will do it, and it's a habit. But I think she's going to turn the dial up on her other comforts, her other addictive comforts. I don't know, Des. I don't know. Illegal, not illegal, for where she's at in her life. You know, illegal and legal is not moral and immoral. There's a difference between the two. I live in the United States, where one often lines up with the other, because we're not a Christian nation, but we were founded by Christians. So living in the place that she's in, standards and culture, you know, might be a little bit different. But the weeds for company. If it were, it would be not helpful for her. The last thing you need during a period of fasting is the munchies. So thinking that you're going to juice up on all your other vices, more smoking, more food, more drink, more attention seeking, all of that stuff is going to turn it up, because if she's not eating, she's got to fill the void with something. So when I looked, it said Monday the 11th. I believe it's Monday the 11th. So is that start after, is that the first day of the fast, or do you start the 11th and you fast the 12th and then go from there? I'm not 100% sure. But, you know, it's very convenient that she has a note to get out of participating in the fasting. Conveniently, it's exactly what she wanted. She'll be able to eat now. She won't have to deal with it. All for the guests. She lies about food. You can smoke weed in a hookah. I looked it up. Again, legal, not illegal, moral, immoral. I don't know that using any amount of substances is on the up and up for her. Now, I understand she has only claimed to have read the major text of her faith. 30 pages a day, I think, was the shot we're going for with Ramadan. That was what she was shooting for. If she was interested, she would have read it by now. If she was more interested, she would have gone to like a women's group where they read and all that kind of stuff. She's not. She has no friends. And she tried to get rid of all his, but apparently he kept a few of them because he's out all night. So legal in Canada, not in Kuwait. That much I knew. That much. It'll give her apartment a different color. Yeah, the walls will be all stained up and shit. So if it is weed, I'm wondering if she needs, like I said, to turn up the volume on her other vices, because I think if there's going to be any suggestion of her missing food, it's not going to happen. She might, for good measure, take herself to a clinic during Ramadan just to put the nail in the coffin that, look, I'm serious. I can't not eat. You don't understand. I wish back in the day I could have made my way through like Lent or whatever by saying, you don't understand. I have a drinking problem. I can't stop drinking, doctor. Could you tell the priests? Give a note to Mark and let everyone else know that just because this is exactly what I wanted to happen doesn't mean I'm happy about it. Just thinking out loud. You don't need to drink, you do need to eat, but you don't need to film it and you don't need to eat for 3. Those are choices. Eating is not a choice. The other things are. So she could be hospital beezing. She's been gone a few days. Whenever she's gone a few days, either like pops up in Canada, pops up in another country. I don't know. So, I don't know. She could be hospital beezing. But she keeps saying her health is poor, but she only gives those really wide, diffuse health problems, which often aren't enough to keep people, you know, one mile from a hospital. You know, she has diabetes, but you know, she's not the first person to be diagnosed. There's a lot of good science. There's other people. See, you know how she found the Muslim chat room so she could buy subscribers and swap sub for sub? She could easily find other people dealing with the afflictions she's dealing with, get some peer support, find out what other people are doing. Because no, doctor's never been in your place. But another person who's been 400 pounds down to 150 might be able to give you something you could use because they've done the journey you've been putting off. And there would be help there. Chantal's too jealous, probably, to take that advice, or she'll decide this person had it easier than me, or they didn't grow up the way I did, or I've had an eating disorder for years. Dying to be sick, she is. Just dying to be. So that goes with the victim-y stuff, I would suspect. So Foodie doing Ramadan's like me winning the lottery. Yeah, Kathy. I don't see it. I don't see it coming. But I don't know. She could also meet real people in Kuwait, make an online local. That's what I thought. Like, connect with people. She's been there a year and she doesn't know anybody. Even within a year of moving to Philly, I was tight with the guy at the gas station where I bought my cigarettes because I had been there over and over. And you share enough little polite patter, and they knew me every day when I would go there. She doesn't even have that kind of thing. And one thing that did jump out at me, and I was curious, and I wasn't able to find an answer to this before I popped on live, so I just wanted to put it out there. Yes, dear Helga, terminally unique. She's going to die from being so special. The grocery hauls she does. Now, she said Sala was out getting groceries. And brought them back at like 1 or 2 in the morning. And then she went through the grocery haul that was full of bread and all this other stuff. She usually orders groceries, from what it sounds like, that they don't go out. And my question is shopping like a gendered activity where she is? Is it something generally the women do or generally the men do? Because that's swapped up place to place. If it's the women, I have this idea of like Sala sticking 2.5 feet above everyone's head, pushing around a shopping cart while all the other wives are out doing what they're doing for their family, and he's out doing it for himself. So I'm so tired of pretending Foodie had a chef childhood. There's been nothing but coddle to her entire life. Her sickness grew within, not without. I agree with that sentiment, actually, quite a bit. A tough childhood is hard on a kid, like in real time, you know. A tough childhood can send you this way, that way, but she's had privileges upon privileges piled on top, I think, by people who maybe felt guilty or who she manipulated into feeling guilty. Because her life didn't turn out exactly the way she wanted, it must be somebody else's fault. And if she can't have what she wants, it's someone else's fault. No request is unreasonable, she's just being denied of things. I think they're both ashamed for her to go out in public. Well, I think that's why they were going out to restaurants at night, going for walks at night when nobody else is out. But we're coming up on summer. The little bit that she did go out over the last 6 months, she didn't go out really in the summer at all. She just sat in the air conditioning, freezing his poor ass out. Has it like 50 degrees probably in there, or trying to. I don't think an AC unit, even a powerful one or central, you can't get it from 110 outside down to 60 or 65. And she wants it like a meat locker in that apartment, so she's comfortable. What about Sala? Who cares if he's comfortable? She has to be. She didn't really get the whole equal part of this marriage thing. Sala, while he seems disinterested, not even enough to show up, still seems to be more dedicated to her than she is to him, as far as she says. I know she wants to make a good impression to us when he's not around, that they were close. Close as could be. We don't know what goes off on camera. We don't know this. We don't know that. That's just why they look so awkward next to each other. She's been speaking to him regularly, daily, according to her. She hasn't picked up more than a few names of a few foods and how to say hello and goodbye. That's about it. She doesn't have a whole lot of else. She's not interested. Like, how many of you like to read? Or maybe you don't, but how long would it take you to read a book even if you didn't like it? And you're supposed to at least pretend to care. Like, if you're going to continue with a lie, don't lie so poorly and then look people in the face and say, no, I'm telling the truth. The spine isn't even bent on that Quran. Not even a little. The little thing has moved, like the shoelacy thing that you put in the page to hold it. That moved a little bit. But otherwise not so much. So people who can't judge her, who haven't been in their place, haven't been up a flight of stairs in years. She said this. You don't know what it's like for me. I haven't been up a flight of stairs in years. Who broke your legs? Really? Who did that? Who keeps pushing you back down? Who keeps scaring you about going up? It's her. Like, if it was somebody else's fault, that's one thing. But when you put yourself, I'm a recovering addict, alcoholic, call it what you like. When you put yourself in a position that your health problems and your social problems are caused by your own activities and your own choices, people don't really want to give a shit. People don't want to, they don't care. They don't care. If there's any kind of component where you do it to yourself, quote unquote, where you make choices to do bad things, whatever the motivation. Are you an addict? Are you selfish? Are you hungry? Whatever it is. So I can appreciate some of the positions that she's in. But the only way to not live with addiction is to not live with addiction. And you start with the little things. Keep the stuff out of the house. Keep the candy out. Keep the chocolates out. There's no guests. All these guests and the couch and the furniture hasn't moved. Nothing. Her explanation was that they're in bed all the time. But all the guests, all the food is for them. I guess they all stand in the kitchen and nobody sits because the furniture doesn't move. So I don't think that food is for guests if there's no guests coming. But that's cute. That's cute. I'm sure somebody bought it. Anyway, fatter people I know still take the stairs. She's a victim of herself. Again, we discussed Sala being out shopping in the middle of the night. He came up in the chat. Now, he hasn't been like around. There was that song, his Ramadan song, which sounded like a profoundly ill child trying to sing opera. But he did his bit. But otherwise, he has been absent pretty much since Shitgate, and he hasn't been around as much. She's been, I think, going to be testing the waters just hair by hair, introducing him back, and see if it's blown over. A lot of YouTube stuff blows over for a lot of people, and they'll just let it go. Even if you're I've seen people who be insanely mad about something she did, and 5 days later, it's not as bad. It doesn't stick as much. I don't know. For how inactive she is, she has a lot of gall to be afraid of elevators. I think she's afraid of breaking them. Weighing them down. Mark and I, when we went on a vacation to Atlantic City, we were staying in a hotel, and it was an older hotel. Historic older. So we were up on the 9th floor. The elevators were a mess. And everyone wants to use the elevators at the hotel casino. So you would get so many people in there that the elevator honestly wouldn't move. It wouldn't go up, the doors wouldn't close. You'd have to kick somebody off. So, I don't know. I was embarrassed for Sala with that song. Yeah, old broad, I was a little too. So, but, not for us to judge, I guess. I'm sure Chantal has that on, replay on her phone, just so she can hear it when she misses him. So, gendered shopping. She wants to cook for people. Now, when coming back to this idea of doing something for other people that doesn't pay her, she had talked about cooking, and she had talked about preparing food for people. Now, that is a great way to share one's time. What is more basic to helping people than giving food? Okay, that's a really nice thing. However, she barely shares with her husband. And when she does, an example, she got a couple subs. So she got a video this week. She was dying she couldn't eat any more homemade food. She had to order out, which could mean anything, really. She could have ordered a salad. She could have ordered a steak. She could have ordered a pizza. She did later, but she ordered herself some food. And as talking about sharing and whatnot, she got 2 subs in front of her. She very carefully opened the first one and said, "This might be Sala's," and then proceeded to eat both back to back like she was going to the chair. So Chantal's not going to share her food. She doesn't. And even if she did, she picks through it. She puts sauces all over it. Her fork's in and out of there, doing everything, putting stuff to the side. And then you're going to hand this half-masticated rice to your husband and be curious about why he stays out late. Of course he is. He's not happy at home. People who are happy at home don't go out that much. They do to work. They do to hang out with other friends. Chantal has no friends, so she probably can't relate to the fact that Sala wants to go do something else with somebody else. Even if she understands, she doesn't like it because she's not the center of attention for that period. And it's other people who can get in their ear and poison their mind, about Chantal went in and already tried to wipe out all his friends because they were going to ruin her plans. So, you can't eat at everybody's house. You can't eat at everybody's house. You can't. She eats her husband's food and then blamed all the other food that came in from the grocery haul on him as well. So, and yet the food disappears. There's no sign of guests and no sign of him. So, process of elimination. But Chantal lives in technicalities. If you haven't seen me eating it, then you don't know that I'm eating it. You don't know what goes on off camera. She thinks she should get the benefit of the doubt and be trusted. Your reputation's too shitty. You can't. You can't. People are going to assume you're lying. Because she lies. She comes clean about lying other times, too. So, Fatima. Let's see, the subs, which she opened carefully because one was for Sala. High school, so story times that we revisit with Chantal. A lot of them are from high school or younger. She had spent some time this week talking about her past here and there, and her being a child and growing up, and what it was like for her, and what it was like for Smee, and Grant, and all that kind of stuff. She talked about all that kind of bullshit. Most of her stories are from what happened like 20 plus years ago. And she remembers the wounds. Now, I was a fat kid, and I wasn't superbly popular. I get the feeling Chantal was like that evil girl who, teacher left the room, people start talking, teacher comes back in, Chantal says everyone's saying this horrible stuff about me, fakes crying, and runs out of the room so she can have pity going on while she's gone. She's just manipulative. She was probably as manipulative as a kid. It's more of like a personality thing than it is, they don't make pills for scumbags. It doesn't work that way. If it were part of a mental health issue, it could be addressed. But she thinks the only problem she has is her eating, and that every other part of her is good as gold. So, yes, thinks she's pulling the wool over people's eyes. Yes, Aunt Vicky, the story she tells, the dreams are completely made up. Which is fine. That is the ultimate, you weren't there, you don't know. No one else was in her brain while she was dreaming, so she can make shit up. And she can do that, if she wants to, but she's got to understand people don't believe it. And if people confront you with a bullshit story and say, that sounds too far-fetched even for a dream, and then she gets rid of them because they don't believe her. But when you're an admitted liar, or at least admittedly inconsistent because you change your mind all the time, that's no better. Just because your heart's not in the right place, that doesn't make you, doesn't mean that you're no more dependable for changing your mind than if you lie or just don't show. So she tries to act like her motives are sincere, but they're really. I'm not sure anyone bullied her. For Chantal, indifference is worse than hate. Probably ignored. I'm guessing if she was the fat girl for the whole life, and she was welfare girl, and this and that, and all the other stuff. Kids are cruel. And growing up can be hard. But none of that stuff should win pity at her age now. Once you're an adult, it's our responsibility to go out and deal with the issues. Whether they were done to us, whether we have our own, doesn't matter. If she's still bothered by shit from that long ago, and she must be, who talks about bruised egos from when you're 13? People with other stuff going on in their head don't care about that. I don't reminisce about high school. Oh my God. I don't think about high school every week, and probably don't reminisce in a very long time. So, I don't know. She lives there and considers herself indoctrinated. She thinks she's indoctrinated in the culture, not leaving the house, wearing the outfit online. Chantal was the kind of bully that she would pick on people, and they'd get, the teacher, she'd look white as snow. She wouldn't get in trouble. She'd be like, haha, you got in trouble for being mean to me. I told him you called me fat. Go to the nurse and complain the whole class is being mean to her. So then the principal comes in and yells at everybody for not respecting her challenges. Like dumb shit. And while she's over in the side smirking, everyone knew a bitch like that. There was one in high school. There was a guy, it's not always a woman. It could be a guy who goes on with that shit, who likes having their little manipulations in play. Well, when she left high school and no one was forced to be around her anymore, nobody was. Aside from where she was working and she was forced to be around people, Chantal says she chooses to be solitary a lot of the time, that she chooses to be alone. But with her personality, she just not have any friends. And how could she? She's not kind. She's not generous. She's not generous because even though she gives stuff away, she expects it in return. Not the exact thing, but she expects favor in return. There is no selflessness with any of her activities. So, but going on with her volunteering and then cooking, and then I don't want her food. I don't want it picked through. Her cooking for other people isn't a good idea unless she's cooking for them at a place where someone's watching her put the gloves on and washing everything to do it. Otherwise, what's she gonna do? She doesn't even cook for herself. She's gonna order takeout for the homeless. I mean, that sounds like about, is there a particular disorder where they're not only stalled in adolescence, but also talk as if, I just lost that bit. I lost half of that. Shit. I knew a childhood friend who did the same thing. Talk as if it was happening now. I don't know if there's a particular diagnosis, but it definitely kind of seems like a particular symptom because I've known different kinds of people, a few different kinds, that's kind of their shtick. Like it's still happening. Most of the folks I know who do that need a high level of support as far as their mental health because they have emotions reacting to things that happened 20 years ago when they tell the stories now. Whether they were traumatic or not, they're repeating at the same pace. There's folks I've seen up when I was doing advocacy at the state hospital that they're gone. They're like frozen 40 years ago for any number of reasons. Some people for no reason. It just seems to happen. But I don't know. I would expect trauma to block out time or to make it feel like it's happening in real time. I've had conversations with people who were crying in real time about something that seemed like it just happened yesterday that happened 30 years ago. So it's not uncommon, but it's not an easy way to get through life thinking that way. Being so attached to every emotion we've ever had is exhausting. It's exhausting. Never eat at Chantal's. Do you see how she does the dishes? Yeah. She should just get paper plates. I can't believe, she eats out of enough takeout containers. She tries to make it look a little more presentable. I get it. But she was 75 telling you a story about how she was bullied when she was 15. She got so angry that she started to shake. I can't think of any stories that were that. Call me privileged. I mean, I was fat, smart, and very effeminate. I stood out, and it was fair game. Pick a reason to pick on me. And I didn't like to go to school because of that. And I still get some of the leftover feelings of like nervousness, of unwanted attention I would get during that kind of stuff. And then I get that as an adult, I still had that feeling. But it wasn't caused by teenagers. I kind of look at my past. I think many people do. If you don't, feel free to share. But once my teens were over in high school, the day after high school graduation, half of the memories were already gone because they weren't worth saving. I didn't need to know all those people anymore. I didn't need to know all that stuff anymore. So, I don't know. Vape anyone? Mark got me the smaller one of the two. So, as adults, we must learn the triggers and know what to expect to be prepared. Deb, that is absolutely 100% correct. We don't choose our childhood and we don't choose those circumstances. Those are just given to us, good or bad. But at a certain point, blaming unsavory behavior on other people doesn't work. It doesn't. I don't remember. I remember a few people. I remember my first girlfriend. The teachers, I remember teachers I liked. I remember a few teachers I didn't like, but the ones who gave me the most, who yelled at us until I cried, because I would cry when the teachers would yell, because my parents didn't yell. You've seen them on camera. They barely talk. My home growing up was rather quiet for having 3 kids there, and so when teachers would start screaming, I would get scared. My stomach would hurt. I would start to cry. I wanted to run out of the room. And all that happened mostly 6th, 7th, 8th grade, around there. I still had the feelings as I got older, but I was kind of putting them out of my mind because they weren't helpful, And luckily I started therapy at 17. My senior year of high school, I started treatment. I wrote a paper for a teacher. And the topic, it was like a practice of a college essay and something you've overcome or an accomplishment you're proud of. And I had been working on eating disordered stuff, mostly personally, but with a couple friends, just letting them know what I was doing. And then they told me I don't look good, you look like shit, and then, told me to stop. So I wrote a paper about this journey, sent to the guidance counselor, sent to the principal, sent to a therapist. Catholic therapist, of course. He was a deacon. And, I started then trying to unpack the shit that was dragging me down. The weight came off. It didn't fix everything. I think she has this idea that this is going to be the thing that fixes everything. I think she has that feeling. So going to Kuwait, that's going to be the thing that fixes everything. Getting married, that'll fix everything. Then I'll feel important. Then I'll feel loved. Then I'll feel special. Well, that's not enough. I need 100,000 subs to feel important and special and whatnot. Okay, so she bought her way there because she thought she'd feel happier, and now the luster of that is gone. So what's next? Chantal doesn't change anything but self-serving habits and substances, really. She wants a six-pack. Even with gastric bypass, give her a duodenal switch, something, and a tummy tuck. She's too helpless of a person to do that kind of stuff. She would end up not having a good outcome because she thinks somebody else isn't doing enough to help her. She doesn't weigh her effort as any part of solving the problem. So, and I know I'm talking some shit about her, but when I see Chantal acting like an immature defensive kid, it throws me back to being an immature defensive kid. And how that gets let go of, Yeah, what's this now? Now she's going to buy, why doesn't she just buy $250,000? What's the next big bark? One of these times it'll be to be in the best health of my life, but not. She mentioned the six-pack after the pizza. Well, she hit the 100K, 101. Conveniently, the growth stopped right at that point. And so I guess they were sick of her. And then where do we go from here? What's her next? This will make me important. This will make me fulfilled. This will that. Maybe another cat. Maybe a hamster. I don't know. Buy yourself another present and say it's from Sala. If that'll make you feel good. But this 100K thing isn't going to do it. What happens is she wants it, she gets it, she tries to throw it in people's face that she has it and they don't. I would rather have French Fried Girl's income than Chantal's sub count. Because if we're talking about this as a job or as a business, follow the money. And how are you making it and how are you doing it? And is it in a sustainable sort of way? Chantal will never grow up. So French Fried Girl will never run out of things to say about her. Chantal is perfectly fine having a teenage petty drama at her age doing this. Now, what about French Fried Girl? She's doing it too. This isn't about what other people do. This is about what we do. This is about what we do. Okay, we can't control what other people do. You can't blame everybody else for that. But yeah, as far as positions, fine, Chantal, get 1 million. Buy a bunch more. First of all, people know you buy them, so it's not special. It's not special. It'll only look special to someone who doesn't know you well. And if you only look good to people until they get to know you, it's not a flattering characteristic to have as a person. I mean, it's not. The sub count's fake. If you went through and pulled the fakes out, there'd be more and more and more. Exactly. There's more people in French Fried Girl's chat. There's more people talking. She has more money coming in from it. Chantal can get 15 to 20% into her lives as much as French Fried Girl does. So I don't know what to tell you. Die mad about it, I guess. I mean, what else? You're not going to get over it. So, Ramadan, 100 subs. Let me look back at my notes for the 100 subs thing. Subscriber count slowed. She's waiting on the plaque. What's the next goal? Maybe at the pace that she was absorbing and growing in the Muslim community on YouTube, maybe that would keep her moving up to the 250,000. Maybe. But her views, and why it looks funny that it moved, is that her views were relatively stagnant. They weren't going up. She was presenting herself in other places on YouTube where they just happened to grow your account for not having to watch your stuff. Oh, I subbed to your channel, you subbed to mine. I can tell you when I did probably similar. When this channel started, it was a weight loss channel called Smoke Yourself Thin. And as a very small weight loss channel and not being very proficient on YouTube, I was going to different weight loss channels, other smaller ones, and saying, hey, you look like you're doing good work here. I'm on my journey myself. Do you want to follow each other and we'll see what's what? And you can only do that so many times manually, before you just, but I wanted to have real people watching. I didn't want to have a bunch of bots or a bunch of fakes watching. I'd rather have 485 real people than 1,000 who are just in foreign languages and broken English spitting shit into the chat. It doesn't really do much. It doesn't really help. So, um, she'll act like she's over the plaque very shortly because it'll be like, even though she wanted it and begged, borrowed, and steal to get it, she'll be like, oh, I never. It's not that big of a deal. There's a lot of YouTubers that have them. How many congratulations do we think she received for her accomplishment? And who did they come from? Yes, 485, please do hit the thumbs up if you'd be so inclined. This is a rather full room for us, so thank you all for being here. Those chatting, those modding, the lurkers, all of you, thank you for being here. So, let's see. When we talked about the weed already, and about Sala not being there, the last thing I had marked as a discussion point is Sala being there, or not being there, or being present at weird times. And the fact that we have a time difference with her, some people are very keyed to that. You know, they understand that if she put out a video at noon here, it was put out at like, 8 in the morning other time. So, Baja Rain for a visit. She said she'd gone to Qatar a couple times. Is that a place that would do her needs for immigration so she can stay? She can go on her tourist visa because she's not married? To go get it refreshed? I would have to say, I mean, I know she's non-committal, but when is she going to go through the motions of, like, permanency? Like, is she just going to play this game in Kuwait, never get a setup there, and then go somewhere else, and then do it all over again there? Her lies are her accomplishments. Smith, that is so very close to being true. I think it really is. I think she prides herself on some of that stuff. But being a great liar, well, you're good at it, but it's not a great quality to have. I'm a pretty good liar, but, well, I was. When I used to drink, I was a very good liar. Now I get all red. She's not really married. In other news, water is wet. I don't know, but when he's out and she's home alone, whatever he's doing, she doesn't know. She initially tried. Remember, she had him going out and he had the camera with him so she could see what he was doing while he was out? I mean, talk about keeping your bitch on a leash. Sala. Grow a pair. But what we're going to see for the rest of her channel, I gotta think, some stuff goes away. That shit stuff, it's never going to go away with Sala. He wasn't well known enough before that a thing like that being caught, he's going to run away from. It's not like it's a fringe accusation or anything. All the stuff is there to show what he did. And I don't think that affects his usefulness to Chantal, otherwise she would have done something by now. But if he doesn't want the attention, he's going to be away and away and away. Just down the street, he's on his way home. He just left. Sure, honey, I know. It's okay. Go have a good cry. Eat a coconut sponge cake, you'll feel better. Thailand, yeah, Qatar she mentioned a couple times. Thailand, she was there for so long, it feels like something wasn't maybe going as planned. Something didn't work out right. And I had the feeling, I don't know, because I wasn't there, but I had the feeling he's living somewhere else with another woman. Yeah, Irene, it's possible. Every 3 months, she's got to travel. Now, that doesn't sound bad for someone who just wants to travel, but she has no roots. And so she had to get rid of the things that create roots, like pets and family. And then, out. She won't even, and she's, she's money hungry. Did you see the Easter promotion for Hameo? With the Vaucluse coming out? And how her Christian friends could buy one for each. Her Christian friends. I don't know. But she won't even say hi to you for free. You gotta buy a fucking cameo. She's monetized every aspect of her life. So, travel probably is painful for her. Now, I have to say, as far as her weight, because she hasn't been out and about, I can't assess her weight very well, at least just by looking at her face, because she's draped and she's covered. So, like, she's got some Christian friends. She doesn't have friends. She doesn't have friends. She has people who are useful to her for a little while. What have I lied about? What have I lied about? What have I lied about? Does she think everyone else is just wrong? Everyone else is confused about what's happening here except for her. What have I lied about? Chantal's lying doesn't feel like lying to her. If Chantal doesn't think you deserve the truth, she'll tell you a lie. Like if you guys want to know, Steve, what's your waist size in millimeters? Some people want to know stuff like that. Where's the proof? What happened? But, I mean, she fibs. The shirt's epic. Where'd you get it? I think Mark got it. I survived Girl World. Mark came up with that, I believe. He's here somewhere, I think. When we get towards the end, I'll drag him in to say bye. Thing is, though, if he's not going to be on Zoom, he doesn't do the hair, he didn't do the clothes, he didn't do the, any of that stuff. So he's a little self-conscious about it. And I would be too, but thanks. Little Prince, we're a small channel, so a little treat every now and then is fun. I do not accept any of her Easter greetings from Salva's abhorrent stuff about the cross with Kybella. Yeah. And I mean, she's married. So if it's one, it's the other. Her and Salva are an item. I would be curious to see if she split the two of them into two people to try to blame some stuff on him. But seeds are soon, Miss McPhoebe. Very soon. Because like I said, we're just getting our last dusting of snow. And then from there, it'll probably go back. And Mark will start the gardening. We're already starting to look at things outside. There's already stuff coming up in the yard because it started to get warm so quick. So, another thing Chantal doesn't have, a hobby. She doesn't have a hobby. The gaming is sort of a hobby, but everything she won't do anything unless it's like on camera. Like she doesn't feel motivated. If it's not going to make her some money, she's not going to do it. So, I don't know. So where do we go going forward? Where do we go from here? Well, she's still in Kuwait. She's going to be in Kuwait until she has to travel. We'll see. She's been radio silent for a short period. I thought the kind of thing where people thought they found weed on her table when she was filming. First of all, she never leaves the camera like that, so she might be trolling. But even if she's not, that's the kind of thing she'd respond to in like a community post instead of a video, probably, because it's harder to read the nonverbals of dishonesty in a community post because you can't look at her while she's lying, so you can't really get that full assessment of, is she telling the truth? Is she full of shit? Is she just playing games because she's bored? I don't know. I guess so. I mean, what's she gonna do? Phone a friend? Family member? Person of low quality. Mark said that 5 years ago, and he was right. Foodie Beauty is a person of very low quality. I don't think people are permanently low quality people. Like I said, I've seen people sicker than Chantal get better. But aside from mental health problems, she has this glaring personality issue that if she would at least acknowledge she had it, she could probably get it in perspective. But she thinks the way she handles the world is ideal and others should do the same. She doesn't seem to have a concept that like other people live differently and they may be doing as well or not better than her. But she'll pick a few metrics that make her feel superior. She'll come onto YouTube and I have more subs than any of you. Swing up, honey. Try swinging up. Let's see how that works. Don't come down on people who have channels that are half your size. Swing up at someone with 100, 200,000 subs and see how well you do. So Miriam's kind of a low quality person too, and it's been said that no one can criticize her faith because we don't really know what's going on in her heart. We don't really know what's going on in her head. Her actions betray her feelings. Of course, she could feel any way she wants in her head, but her actions betray her feelings. You can't watch someone behave like she does for 4 or 5 years and suddenly go, of course I take her at her word. Just because it seems like she's probably telling the truth too, it doesn't necessarily mean she does. And that's one of her most dangerous, I think, things that Chantal lives with. She lies. And instead of saying it's none of your business, she'll tell you a lie instead. And she said herself, so what? It was none of your business. Who cared if I lied? So Chantal deciding to lie instead of ask for privacy is kind of, it lets you know that she thinks there's good reasons to lie. To protect myself, I need to do what I need to do. Don't walk around naked on camera if you don't want people to do it. Don't make such a spectacle of yourself. So plenty of people use their faith to do awful stuff. Yeah, Chantal is not in isolation. Her bit of being kind of like a hypocrite and a poser as far as faith goes, she didn't invent that. There's people of a lot of different faiths and traditions who are just going through the motions because it makes some part of their life easier. She would not be there now without a hijab and a abaya on. She wouldn't. And she wouldn't have met a man like that either. Without the use of filters, coercion, and leaving out important facts, she would not be in Kuwait. By now, she would not be there. But we'll see where she travels next. Not going to be Thailand, too expensive. She said Canada was expensive, too, for her to get out. 90% of her arteries are blocked. That's what I was saying. Does she have a big heart? Well, she has an enlarged heart, probably, but not necessarily a big one. Unless there's something in it for her, she's not interested. I've been at the selfish phase she's been at before, when all your, like, it was right before, in the couple years before I got sober. My behavior was all screwed up. I was the hugest hypocrite you'd ever want to meet, ever. I would steal your purse and help you look for it. And those behaviors are definitely something I did, and I justified them at the time. But spending some time working on why the hell do I act like that? Why do I do that? And when I find out why, can I do anything about it? Was kind of the focus of my therapy. But I also couldn't acknowledge things that I was oblivious to. Chantal, I think, knows she's dishonest. I would be honest. I would ask her, why do you lie so much? If she'll say she doesn't lie, but the real answer I want is, you do lie. But why do you lie so much? You don't have to. She lies about things that aren't really as serious or relevant either. Like, why would you lie about that? Why would you lie about what you had for lunch? Why would you lie about the sandwich being for your husband? Yeah, I don't think self-reflection is her strong suit, Andy. I wouldn't say it is. Because she can't, as soon as she feels like she did something maybe wrong, she runs through the Rolodex of other people who've done similar and points at them. So what she's saying, as far as I can see, is that it's not that she's on the up and up because other people do. Her message is that she's no more of a scumbag than them. So she admits she's wrong, but not as wrong as other people are. So we'll see. She has, you can't, yeah, you're not going to be able to fight biology, body chemistry. She's not going to be able to use all that anymore. It's not going to help. Her health will deteriorate. Whatever she wants to say, it will not matter. She will either need medical treatment or it'll eventually start to be obvious she can't get around as much with her dragging her leg. Now, Chantal is not so naive that she wouldn't sort of fake a limp to bank that for later to say, see, here's this long ago and I was still walking funny. That was supposed to be the boil, but then she was dragging her foot like she stroked out, and then she seemed to be okay, and then we haven't seen her walk now in like a month. So I don't know. We'll see. I think by the time we talk again, which will probably be Wednesday or Thursday, she'll already have established that she's not doing Ramadan food stuff. So, I know, Miss McPhoebe, you don't know. She was like, who would fake that? You would. You've faked less. So, other kids do it, why can't I? Yes, Calendar. A parent's job is to make sense of that for the kid, and I don't think any adults made sense of the world for Chantal. She was pampered. She says that she was neglected, but she probably felt like that level of pampering was neglect because she deserved better even than that. For, I don't know, for dancing at the top of the stairs when her mom's dates were there. So, it starts Tuesday now. So I had seen it was the 11th. I thought that Ramadan started, but then I didn't know, does it start the next day with the fasting, or is the 11th you start the night of the 10th? I'm not really sure. So, is the time limit of your life based on anything in particular? That's a thoughtful thing to say, actually. That gives me reflection. So, thank you all for being here. I'm not sure where we're going to go next week. We'll be here. I'm betting by that time it'll be established and on camera that she's eating her way through Ramadan, and that'll be her choice. She'll try to, but she won't be able to. It's not like she cares, but she'll be doing that. I don't think Nader will be around. Salah will be around because I think he's still lying low. And he might actually participate in the faith rather than her kind of, you don't know that I don't, so you should accept that I do kind of angle. He's actually had a life involved around it, so he might actually participate in the events of Ramadan. He might do the fasting and reflection and prayer and reading and the other stuff that goes with it. Chantal could offset the fact that she's eating by probably doing some other charitable deed or some other sacrifice, but you think she's going to go looking for ways that she can make up for not fasting? No. So that's where we're going to leave it for today, folks. Thank you all for being here. This is a full room. It was over 500 people. Very exciting for us to have a room that big. So, for now, we're going to depart. Mark! I think he's pretending to be outside. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching. Please do subscribe if you'd be so inclined. Hit the thumbs up on your way out if you'd also as well. In the description is our email, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff's listed below. Thank you all for being here. I think this was the fullest chat we had in a very long time, if not ever. And Mark will catch up with you for another Mondays with Mark tomorrow. All right? So make sure you stay tuned. You know, with Mark, it's always going to be a little something special, too. So, all right. We'll see you then. Good night. Look after yourselves. Look after each other, too. Bye.